Hey, everybody, we're live. Welcome to Beyond the Frame. I'm Jay Neffy, your host for today, and thanks to Cubic AMF and Virtual Marketing Manager for sponsoring Beyond the Frame. Today, we have with us a very special guest, Mr. David Small. Welcome, David Small. How are you?
Hi, Jay. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing great. Given the fact that we're all kind of in this together and we're all just trudging through time, we're not really sure what's going on. Some of us, today was a rough day for me. I'll be honest with you. After 3 or 4 weeks, it builds up. So we're all human. It's okay to have those days where I couldn't do it today. I couldn't get up and go. I was like, so I can only imagine, it's easy to get into that mode, I'd say. David, I wanted to talk with you about, you're owner and president of Funtime Centers, right? And you've got 5 locations.
Yeah. 5 locations,
okay, so,
yes, sir.
In Jackson, Jackson, Michigan. See what I mean?
Everybody says that, I tell you.
See what I mean? It's just today. Jackson, Michigan is Jack 60. Is that your newest location or the newest remodeled one?
That's the newest one of the family. We purchased that in July of 2018.
Okay. And then you've got Pro Bowl West in Fort Wayne, Indiana, Heritage Lanes in Kokomo, 32 Fun, which is my favorite name ever, in Noblesville, Indiana, and then Championship Lanes in Anderson, Indiana. So that's 5 bowling centers.
Yeah.
How are you doing today? How's it holding up for you?
Well, to be honest, it's been a challenge, no question. I mean, to go from a record-setting year and a record-setting pace that we were setting to, being just told you're shut down. That's it, with no true timeline of when you're going to reopen. It's March 16th will go down as probably one of the most difficult days in my life, honestly.
Yeah, for sure. And that's how it happened for you guys. You were just all of a sudden told, boom, that's it. You didn't have any kind of...
No, we really didn't have any warning. We were watching the revenue trend and watching what was happening out in the world, and we started to see a slight downturn. And I immediately met with my managers and with the banks and said, "Hey, we've got a problem coming." And it really reared its head the weekend before we closed. Just to throw a number out, one of my centers, on the 29th of February did 22 grand. And then the 6th of March, we dropped to 17. And then the 14th, which was the last day before, we dropped to 8. And those were Saturdays. So we knew something was happening.
Yeah.
So we had to prepare for that.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So the general public had already started to be less confident in your area also. I know some of the bowling centers, especially here in Texas, because they weren't forced to close for, early on. And, a lot of the league bowlers were like, we're bowling. And, I canceled my big league. I had a 32 team league. And, I just felt it wasn't appropriate for me to demand people be there or have to make up on their own. So at first I said, I'll make it an option. There's no bowling, but if you wanted to go and bowl, you could pre-bowl. That would be up to you, all on your own if you wanted to. And then they made it a lot easier for me because the bowling center closed. So that was even better from a league officer point of view. I didn't want to have the brunt of taking responsibility for people being sick, knowing that could legitimately spread like wildfire amongst a league, especially a league that is pretty close knit. And the area is close. We don't have separate tables at this bowling center, and we're all high-fiving, and it's just different. So I can only imagine what it's like from a revenue point of view. We've been listening to the horror stories all along. But, one of the things that's interesting is what can you do during a downtime? I know the first few days, like my friend Dan was on the show a few days ago, and he was saying, well, after you sit there and cry for about 9 hours, you realize that's not going to solve anything. He said, so you'd start thinking, what can I get done? So you've got 5 locations with this same situation going on. What are some of the projects that you've been able to tackle with this downtime?
Well, definitely the challenging part was getting over the depression first. I mean, when you make that decision and you have to close your centers, and then you have to evaluate unfortunately, how you're going to operate with no revenue. That started off as you had to get over that very quickly. And so that's what we did. We regrouped very, very quickly and started to put plans into place as to what we could do, what we could move to now that we would normally do maybe during the summer or do projects. I've renovated all my bowling centers, and the joke has always been I've always been open during my renovations, and now unfortunately, Anderson's under rip and tear, and well, we're doing it while we're closed, and I swore I'd never do that. Thank you very much. So I made a liar out of myself on that one.
Wow.
But yeah, they did it for me.
Yeah, right.
But what we wanted to do was we wanted to come back bigger and stronger, and we wanted to take some of the things we would do over the summer, move them forward. Like right now, I couldn't open tomorrow or in the next week right now because every one of my machines is in the 270 position getting maintenance.
That's it. I mean, that's a valuable service to be done too, because you ought, in large busy centers, you don't have the time. You could take a lane, a pair every day and go that way, but there's times where you're like, I just don't have the time to do this.
And that was the whole thing, is we just don't have the time to do it. And taking the pairs out during the summer, that worked out okay. But during this time, we've really been able to catch up, I'd say 4 to 5 years worth of maintenance that we just have not had time for. So that's been a positive for us because obviously the machines don't go up and down. You don't make any money.
Right. That's very true.
Bottom line.
That's definitely the industry standard right there.
We've also looked at a lot of the things that we do. One of I know a lot of my managers are probably on the call. Hi guys. Good to see you all out there.
Say hi. Hey, Bo Gergen, how you doing? Terry Knowles, they're watching. Dottie, Natasha, and Mike Martin have joined us. So hi to I gotta look over here. Hi to everybody out there. Comments are over here. It's like.
Exactly.
So go ahead.
Go ahead, Jay. Go ahead, Jay.
Do any of your centers, are you still serving food? Are you doing the curbside or to-go stuff? Is your food service still able to be operated?
We had one center we were doing that in, and unfortunately the volume just wasn't there to support the food cost, the holding cost, and labor. So we ended that probably the first week into the closure, unfortunately.
Okay. Yeah, it doesn't always work for some centers, but if the good news is you tried it, so at least you knew what you could do there. You're from Buffalo. I didn't know this until just recently. So tell me about how you got from Buffalo to Indiana, Michigan. How did that happen?
Well, I had some good hits of acid, that's for sure. No, honest.
Those could probably be passed out during this time, and most people would be okay with it.
Well, if you look behind me, you see there's booze. There's booze right behind me, everybody. There's always a party in my office. But honestly, my mother got me into bowling when I was very, very young. My mother's in the Buffalo Women Bowling Hall of Fame, Lois Ryder. And she carried a 195 average back in the 50s. Strong left-hander. Left-hander, go figure. Sorry, all you left-handers out there. And she just got me into it, and I fell in love with it. And I went to school, learned how to be a lot of operational side of a consultant. And
David, I'm going to stop you for a moment because it said you disappeared when you said your mom was in the Buffalo Hall of Fame. You froze for a moment. Go back to that point again.
My mother got me into bowling, and she's in the Women's Bowling Hall of Fame in Buffalo, New York, Lois Ryder. She averaged about 195 back in the 50s.
Which is like 260 today.
Pretty much. Exactly. And so she got me into it, and my job took me around the world for about 15 years. And when she got sick with cancer, about 2 weeks before she passed, she and I sat down, and she goes, "David, we need to have the talk." And I said, "Mom, we had that talk when I was 12. She said, no, not that. She did, no, not that talk. And she looked at me square in the face and said, "David, I'm dying." And I said, "I know." And with that, she said, "There's a little bit of money. There's not a whole lot left. You know that. We didn't have much." She said, "Don't put it all on black in Vegas, or I'll haunt you for the rest of your life."
Good mom.
Which I put on red anyways. But she, sorry, Mom, still love you.
Well, did it come in on red? I hope
it did come in on red.
All right.
It did come in on red.
So her advice was sound. Don't put it on black.
Sound.
I didn't.
Yeah, her advice was sound. But the thing that hurt the most coming from her was saying, David, you travel the world, you've got the big job, you make big money, you're not happy. And that was very, very hard to hear from your mom, when she, basically only has a couple of weeks to live. And she says, you're not happy. I want you to be happy. And
Wow.
About a year of therapy went into all that. And I finally decided that it was time to, rather than chase everyone else's dreams and make them a whole lot of money, it was time for me to chase my dream. And my dream was always to own a bowling center. So I bought my first one, little 24-laner, in January of 2009 in Lafayette, Indiana, and the rest is history.
Well, congratulations to you. What a beautiful mother you had to not only encourage you, but to see that in you and to call you out on it. Because, a lot of moms might not want to do that for fear that it would go in the wrong direction for them,
Right.
So that's amazing, first of all. And, good for you. You realize that you weren't happy. A lot of us have jobs that we go through day after day and we just do them because it's what we're supposed to do. But maybe, having a job that fulfills us deeper, like owning and operating your own bowling center, would be the right move. Or maybe it's raising chickens. I don't know. It could be whatever it is, but that is an amazing, amazing opportunity that your mother kind of pushed on you. So good for you. Good for you. So one turned into 5, and now here we are.
Yep.
And you've spent the last couple days, well, at least you said yesterday, you were on the phone with SBA. That must have been like, hi, how hard was that? Did you get right through, first of all?
Yesterday wasn't bad. The wait was about 3.5 hours.
Oh,
it wasn't. It wasn't bad. Wasn't that bad. It was just basically we're trying to get everything shored up. We've got a lot of assistance in the pipeline, just like everyone else. We're all in the same boat.
Right.
I mean, every one of us. There, and this is going to be kind of a sad statement, but I've probably had 75 proprietors call me asking me to buy their bowling center already. Yeah. And I understand that. I know what they're going through. We're going through the same thing. I mean, there's only so much money.
Right.
You can't prepare for. You can prepare for summer. You can prepare for renovations. You can put away money when you're going to blow an HVAC unit or you got a roof leak or anything. But I don't think anybody was prepared to physically shut your doors under order for. I think we're going to be closed at least 50 days. Till the end of
that's
April
being conservative.
And May.
That's being conservative. Yeah, I agree.
So I don't think so. Trying to tell people that it's okay. It really has been a challenge, and it's been a challenge on our end as well. I mean, we're burning through money just like everyone else.
Yeah, but that's the same story everybody's saying.
But luckily, we save very, very earnestly for our summers, and we save for our projects. So that's been a force that's been a big help for us. Is we right in the middle of our savings that time of the year, so we were able to bank some money and stay moving in the right direction.
And the federal relief fund and with all the programs that are available, they are very helpful. They really are. Unfortunately, everybody can't put their hand in the cookie jar at the same time. It's just going to take time to get that distributed. So kudos to you for taking care of that and using those resources to you. Have you heard feedback from your customers? What are you doing with their leagues? Are you letting them end them? Are you asking them to continue? Are you giving them a deal? I know Bolero for a while said, if you continue your league, we'll give you half price lineage. They wanted the foot traffic in the place, but I don't know if they've continued that mentality or not, because they've shut down all the centers now. So, this is such a fluid thing. I know we had to end our big league, and I'm going to do the payout as soon as I get checks from the bank, because Lord knows I didn't plan on having checks. So I had like 9 starter checks, and I said, that'll last us 3 years. No, it won't. So
exactly.
Well, yeah, right. What are you doing with your leagues? Are you communicating with them? Are you giving them options? Is
We've
it
been
case by
communicating with
case and center by center?
we basically have been communicating with all of our leagues. All the managers have been communicating with our secretaries and presidents, and giving them options. You know, do they want to continue? Do they not want to continue? Obviously, you know, now with it being a month and a half before they would come back to the floor, a lot of them maybe 3-4 weeks. A couple of them had some longer leagues, but the majority of our leagues across the 5 centers have decided, you know, they don't want to continue this season, and I can understand that. It's a long break, and you know, does it help the bowling center out? Not really, but you know, I would rather personally take the hit on that this season and everybody come back healthy this fall, and we're stronger than we were when we ended.
That's the right mentality right there. I agree 100%. Um, do you use social media a lot with your centers? Are you active on social media?
Well, actually, I have a position in the company. Her name is Cami Devine, and she's our social media and digital marketing manager.
Nice.
That's all she does is spend time online, websites. Brian Philpott's our IT director as well. So those two hand in hand basically run our business online, publish videos, publish posts, redo websites, really keep everybody engaged, build our social media platform, because it has to start there. You know, everybody forgets that the first impression is not your building. Your first impression is your website. Your first impression is your website, your Facebook, your Instagram. So if we have a clean, crisp, sharp-looking website and Facebook and Instagram that's very user-friendly and engaging, it really makes the first impression of the bowling center that much better. It's been a very good role for us, and very good tool to manage our business.
Are you there?
I'm right here.
Okay, sorry, you froze one more time. I don't know. I've not had these kinds of issues yet with this program, so I don't know what's going on. But it could be the aliens, you know, approaching for landing. So
This is true.
It could be. One of the other things, you know, I wanted to talk about that we're talking about this week with Cubica is we're talking about preparing to open, because we do see that the trend is, and the talk is amongst the lawmakers and the president and the local authorities, they're finally starting to see light at the end of the tunnel. I know it's slowing, and they're getting ready to plan to reopen. They're getting ready to figure that out. We've had a lot of discussion internally about what that looks like. Have you guys thought about, you know, when you reopen, is this going to just be full on the same way it was? What about social distancing in bowling? Are we going to have to use every other pair? Like, how does that really, I almost wore that. How does that really look, you know, to the customer? And does it affect your business model?
We've had a number of conversations about that. And honestly, we do a lot of things well to begin with. I don't want to toot my own horn, but one of the main things that we're always complimented on is the cleanliness of our centers. Our centers are known to be cleanly, to be clean, to be friendly, to be sanitized, to smell well. I mean, those are very, very important things. Really, the main thing that we're focusing on to reopen is going to be, what is the picture going to be as people come in? I think the initial run is going to be there, because there's going to be a lot of people that at that point are just so stir crazy.
100%.
They don't care.
I agree.
They don't care. They just want to come in. They just want to get the hell out of the house, you know. And, you know, I've been home a few days. I still go to my centers, but here I'll even move for the joke. See, guys, there's the Christmas tree. I still haven't gotten it down. Sorry.
He does have the Christmas tree up.
There's the Christmas tree. Just had to do that just for
that's funny.
But, I mean, our goal is, you know, everybody has talked about, well, do we wear masks? Do we do this? Do we wear gloves? And it's like, no.
Right.
These people are coming in from the outside to get away from everyday life. And what do we offer? That's fun. We want to give them the opportunity of a couple of hours away from the outside world in an environment where they can immerse themselves into fun and forget about what's going on out there.
Right.
You know, I don't want them walking into my centers and seeing my staff in masks behind plexiglass. I
Well,
just don't
and
think that's
we've also learned just by watching and learning, from the news and the research is that some of those measures are not effective in stopping the spread to you. They're only effective mostly if you have the virus to other people. So at least some of those measures are. Like the sneeze plexiglass at the grocery store. I mean, that doesn't stop the breathing air from going around it and getting to them. If someone sneezes, they're not going to get sneezed on. Great. I appreciate that. But, I think we're learning so much about this process, and we will never go back to normal, right? There is no normal anymore. What you thought happened and you thought life was like before is forever changed moving forward. And as soon as we accept that, I think, and decide, I'm not going to try to be exactly that way, I'm going to do what's necessary to provide a safe environment for my employees and my customers, but we are going to continue with the fun. We are going to make sure that that's why we're here, right? That's why you have those businesses, not because people have to have a cheeseburger, which some of us do have to have a cheeseburger though, but because they want to go out and have a good time and they want to get away from, the stresses of life. So, kudos to you again for recognizing that. And, I'm sure you're going to do, because you are leading the way with cleanliness and sanitation, you'll do what's right for your customers as well as your employees. I have another question for you before we go. What is your message of hope to your industry peers?
My message of hope? Honestly, guys, really, we're all in this together, and I'm that's one that I'm tired of hearing and tired of saying, but it is true. We are all in this together. We will come out of this stronger. We will come out of this better. But also, don't accept the fact that this is the new normal. I cannot stand that vocabulary. We've struck from our vocabulary in our centers, there's no unprecedented, there's no new normal. It's going to be business for us. And we're going to adapt our business to what our customers need and what they require. Is it going to be, a different center or a different environment? No. Because the one thing I will not change is it's always going to be fun. It's always going to be clean, and it's always going to be friendly, one way or another. That is the one thing we will not change. And that's very critical. If you come back with kid gloves on, I think you're going to fail.
Yeah.
I think you need to go balls out, to the wall, over the top, and really make people feel welcome. And if you show them, what are we doing for cleanliness? We're getting hand sanitizer stations all through the bowling center. Okay, they're filled every week. Perfect. They're right there. We're going to get sanitation wipes for our customers because some customers are going to want to be involved with their own.
They want to clean the holes in the ball and know that ball's been sanitized. 100%.
Bingo. And those are things that we need to work with the customer. It's not, I think the cowboys are coming out first that don't care. And then once time wears on, I think you'll get a little bit more of the sheepish ones to come in. And at that point, it's just building that customer confidence in them that we are doing the right thing. We are taking care of them and that we are listening. That's the very important thing. I think one of the things that I'm famous for, and all of the centers are famous for, is we serve food on china with silverware. That does
not happen. I think Pat's Center is the only place that I've ever seen that, really.
Yeah, we do china and silverware. So maybe for the first month or two, we change to all disposable. That way, no one has any question, if the plates were sanitized, if the silverware was sanitized, or if anybody touched it. We could just all serve it in styrofoam and paper and plastic, just to kind of, ease some of the tensions up front. But the one thing I will not compromise is my employees' safety. I will not compromise my customer safety, and I certainly will not compromise the amount of fun that these people are going to have coming in to forget what the last 50 days has done to them.
Right, right. Well,
that's the bottom line.
That is a beautiful message right there. Go be you, be authentic, do it with the right frame of mind, like we like to say here on the show. This show is made so that we can get together and keep people in the right frame of mind so they can get ahead of the game and continue to make bowling amazing like you've done all throughout Indiana and parts of Michigan. So thank you so much, David, for being with us today. I do want to go over a couple other things. This week, if you haven't signed up for the webinar tomorrow, we have our webinar that will take place at 3 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock Central. I always have to make sure I'm saying that properly. And that is preventative maintenance and how to be proactive. That's what Natasha and the panel will be discussing tomorrow. She's got a good group of people there. We'll have another Beyond the Frame on Thursday, of course. And then our blog, the Best Extras blog, is open, as you guys may or may not know. The resource page of the Cubic AMF website has links to all of these things. So if you'll go to cubicamf.com/support, you'll see all of the COVID resources there, the SBA stuff, the BPAA resources, IAPA. We've any link that we can find that's helpful to our customers and our owner operators, we're putting it up there for them too. So I thank you, David, for sharing your story with us today. I'm sure I'm going to have you on again in the future, I can just tell. And I thank everybody for watching. I will tell you that Jeff and Kathy Lizzie say hello, and Terry Rohr says hi too, and David J. So you've got a couple of highs out there, and we'll see everybody soon. Thursday, tomorrow, no, what's today? Tuesday. We'll see you in 2 days on Beyond the Frame. I'm Jay Nephew. This is David Small. We've been chatting, and we thank you so much. You guys have a wonderful afternoon and evening. Take care.
Thank you.